You don't know jack.
I'm seeing a lot of talk, Alan, about market size. About how, especially in the MLB. Oh, because we're a small market. We can't put together a good team. Paul Skeens is wasting away in Pittsburgh because they're a small market. They don't have the money necessary to put together a team around them. This, that, and the other. Look, if you think market size is negatively impacting your franchise, you don't know jack about how any of it works. Market size does not matter in today's day and age of sports. Even you see it with the NFL, especially. Their revenue sharing model is fantastic, where it makes Green Bay, a team with 300,000 people in its city, be able to compete with the Los Angeles Rams and Chargers. That's fantastic. So market size isn't even a thing in the NFL. In the NBA, market size is not a thing unless you have a bad owner. And that's what this all is. Your team isn't bad because they're playing a small market. Your team is bad, unfortunately, because of the ownership. And that's something that's very tough to change. Like, the NBA Finals are a perfect example of how good ownership is more important than what market size you're in. These NBA Finals are Oklahoma City and Indiana. They play in Indianapolis, two small markets. Two markets that traditionally could not compete with the Los Angeleses of the world or the New Yorks of the world or the Bostons of the world. But because of revenue sharing and everything like that, rising tide lifts all boats. OKC and Indiana, they can compete, and it is on display that market size does not matter. And market size doesn't even impact MLB teams. That used to be the thing that people thought. But in 2022, when the CBA was updated, teams now pool and share money that equals to about $200 million in extra revenue. I just want you to think about that for a second. The Pirates payroll, the Rays payroll, the White Sox payroll, the Athletics payroll are under $100 million. And they're getting $200 million in extra revenue that all teams are getting. And the goal of that is to allow the small market teams to compete with the big market teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers. Now, the Yankees and the Dodgers will always have a slight leg up because they're bringing in more merchandise sales. They're bringing in more in ticket sales. They're bringing in more of revenue. But they all get that pooled $200 million. Each and every team gets an additional $200 million. However, now with that, it's resulted in bad owners exploiting the loopholes in it all, in the system, pushing revenue-sharing money into other areas without improving their on-field product by increasing that payroll. So your market doesn't matter. Your ownership, your poor ownership matters. And it stinks if you have a greedy, horrible owner, like Dan Snyder with the Commanders. It stinks.
All right, you were doing great till you mentioned him. Can't trigger people, but no, that's actually a relevant and great point that you're making.
People who are like, oh, especially like I hear it so much with the Pittsburgh Pirates. More so, their fans are just mad and angry because they kind of understand. Like, the Pirates fans are smart, where they understand their owner's horrible and greedy, and Athletics fans are getting there. I think as a sport community, we're getting smarter about it. But so many people are like, whoa, isn't it crazy that these two small market teams are in the NBA Finals?
Now,
no.
The only thing I will push back on, especially in the NBA, being a small market sometimes makes it hard to bring in free agents because there's not a lot to do, I guess. But if you've got $40 million, you can fly fun out.
Yes.
You can fly fun in.
You can have fun in other cities.
Yeah, I never really understood that, but I agree with you. I think market size is sometimes just used as a mask to cover up the fact ownership's bad, just like ratings are used sometimes to cover up the fact that a league just doesn't cover the sport properly.
Yeah, people are like, oh, market size is the reason why the ratings for the NBA Finals stink. No, it's because ABC doesn't treat it as it should be. Like, there is some validity in people saying, oh, remember when there used to be a massive Larry O'Brien trophy on the court? Remember when they had pomp and circumstance around this event? Now it just feels like a random game in February, where that's kind of just an overreaction. But it's also, there is validity in that overreaction, where ABC, ESPN, they don't promote the games like they used to. They don't lean into the NBA Finals as much as they used to. I mean, back in the day, not to get like, back in my day, But Get Up would
You're
have.
not old enough to do that.
Yeah, you're right. But like Get Up, you would have been on location at the NBA Finals. Like all of SportsCenter's hits would have been live on location in whatever city they were at for the NBA Finals.
It was an event, and now it just feels like another game, right?
And you sit back and you're like, why does the NFL run ratings? Why does the NFL do everything so much better? What is the Super Bowl week? It is event after event after event. Who is there? All radio stations, except for us. All radio stations.
Hey, I was trying.
We could have been there. We just didn't have the. Never mind.
The cash.
It costs a lot of money to go to the Super Bowl.
Man, look, the Roadway Inn was about $750 a night for people who want to know what the price.
So if you want to sponsor,
yeah.
one night at the Roadway Inn,
yes, a Roadway Inn, $750 a night.
Probably what, like 30 minutes from the stadium too.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
But like the NFL has made it an entire event, while the NBA has done the exact opposite.
Yeah, and you have build up even on NFL Network leading up to that. I think that ABC and ESPN missed the mark by not bringing in not just legends, but people who are either associated with NBA final greatness to talk about it, like build the picture a little bit. Like we're getting perspective from Kendrick Perkins and Bob Myers. No offense, both champions.
I don't care what Bob Myers has to say.
Both champions in their own right, but come on. Like
Kendrick Perkins is coughing on live TV before his hit.
Oh, yeah. Like Perk is basically ESPN's version of Chuck.
And he's a lot worse.
Yeah, he just says what he wants and does what he wants, and sometimes he comes up with the funny saying. But
we don't even need like former players. Like the NFL does such a good job of getting like Paul Rudd into their just Eric Stone Street from Modern Family's like the biggest Chiefs fan, and they'll bring him in for like weekly hits just to talk about how fun it is to cheer for the Chiefs.
And they use WWE.
They use WWE. Where the NBA Finals, I could not tell you a famous fan of OKC or Indiana. The fact that you
Caitlin Clark,
sure, yes, that is a problem.
And guess what? I would have used her. She's out. I would have definitely used her for some hits.
And yet they're just like, we're gonna bring out Kendrick Perkins and we're gonna do our normal NBA Tonight countdown crew is gonna just be there, and it's like. That's why your ratings are suffering. You aren't marketing the product. Branding is so much more important than the actual teams that are playing.
It really is.
Next year, we could put the Green Bay Packers and the Indianapolis Colts into the Super Bowl, and it would outrate the NBA Finals, and it would probably be a top 5 rated Super Bowl of all time.
And people would say, "Oh, it was so boring," and they still stay and watch.
They will still watch. So miss me with everything about market size. Market size truly does not matter. What matters is having good ownership that believes in the product. It invests money into the product. They trust the coaches and the front office to build that product. Indiana, they made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but it took a couple of years of building to get there. It started in 2022 when they traded for Tyrese Halliburton. It then got a little extra push forward. They didn't have a ton of playoff success with Tyrese as their guy, but they believed in it. They built around it. Last season, they trade for Pascal Siakam, and it puts things together, and they make the push to the Eastern Conference Finals. This year, a really slow start. They were a bad team in the Eastern Conference Finals to begin this season. And instead of the owner firing everyone and trading everyone at the deadline, they slowly built, and now they're in the NBA Finals. For OKC, this started back in 21. Was it when they traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yeah, it was a couple years ago.
Started in 21, and they were still one of the worst teams in the NBA in 22. They were one of the worst teams. They then started building towards something in 23. Last year, they had the letdown in the playoffs, and now this year they break through. It takes time. Allow them to build. It's not a market issue in sport. It's an owner problem in sport.